How was camp?
It was good.
She goes away for 3 days and all we get is good?
She goes away for 3 days and all we get is good?
Yeah, sounds right.
Asked and answered.
Yeah. Back to the game.
I love that gag. Alright guys, so got another Bladeslinger vlog for you, and today I didn't have anything to do, so I decided to go to the movies and see Inside Out 2. Yes, I am 30 years old, and I still go to watch Disney movies in the theaters. You want to make something of it? Anyway, so, Inside Out 2. I guess I should give my thoughts on the first Inside Out movie. I really like Inside Out. I think it's a very smart, very well written, and very well put together film. But it's not really a movie that I connected with on a deeper level like so many other people did. A lot of my friends especially got into Inside Out, mostly because like the whole talk of understanding your emotions and how to cope with all the different ones you feel. I understand why that resonated with them and so many other people, but as someone who never really had a hard time understanding their emotions, it didn't really resonate with me. I thought it was a clever idea and I thought it was beautifully done, but it wasn't a movie that would go on to become a personal favorite of mine. It's a film I respect, but it's not one I typically watch a whole lot. So, because of that, I wasn't terribly excited for Inside Out 2. I thought an Inside Out sequel had potential, but it just wasn't something I was eager to see, and it also didn't help that, let's be real, Disney has not been on top of their game lately. Political stuff and all the pandering they've done lately aside, they just haven't been putting out very good movies at all. There are a few hidden gems in there, but Disney has had it rough as of late, ever since the pandemic, I would say. So I was afraid that a lot of that would seep into Inside Out 2, which I really didn't want to happen because Inside Out is just such a pure concept and it comes from such a real place that I didn't want to see it tainted by all that stuff. But I am so happy to report that that isn't the case. Inside Out 2 is a really good movie. I would say it actually surpasses the original, and unlike the first movie, I actually did connect with this one to some degree. I was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed this one. So what is Inside Out 2 about? Well, it takes place a couple years after the original, and Riley is now a teenager. In fact, she's just a year out from high school. After her team wins a hockey championship, they are invited by the high school coach to attend a hockey camp, a training camp, where she uses as a proving ground to scout promising people for the team in the following years. Riley and her friends are invited, but it's sort of poor timing because puberty starts to hit Riley and it starts to hit her hard. Not only that, but her friends tell her that they aren't going to be attending the same high school as her, which leads to a rush of new emotions in emotion control. In addition to the ones from before, joy, disgust, fear, anger, and sadness, we also have embarrassment, envy, orneriness, and most notably, anxiety. And anxiety starts to hit Riley hard. She's really concerned about her future and sees this hockey camp as a chance to really set her path forward in stone. And anxiety starts to go to extreme lengths in order to ensure that Riley ends up on that path, even going as far as to break with Riley's sense of self and have her, break with a lot of what she knows is right and what's wrong, which the other emotions, the ones that were in the first movie, of course, oppose, which leads anxiety to bottle them up, as you see right here. I thought that was really clever. So now the emotions, after escaping, need to find Riley's sense of self and get it back to emotion control before anxiety completely destroys everything that they've built. So what is it about Inside Out 2 that really resonated with me? I feel like this film is going to resonate with a lot of people because you know, anxiety, especially among my generation, is pretty rampant. Anxiety and depression, stuff like that. Just about all of my friends suffer from it to some degree. But that's not really why I connect with it. I don't really suffer from those issues. I, like anyone, have my anxieties, but it's not something that's debilitating for me. I just kind of accept that I don't know what the future holds, and I just kind of look forward to it. But I know a lot of people have that issue, but the main reason I ended up connecting with this movie is that the film actually does a really good job showing anxiety from an outside perspective. So the character anxiety in this movie, I actually find to be really interesting. When I saw this character's design, when I saw this character's design, I just thought this character was going to be an absolute beating. But I was pleasantly surprised. Anxiety is actually a really complex character, and even though the character is the antagonist of the story, it's not a straight-up villain. It actually does have Riley's best interests at heart. It wants to make sure Riley has the future that she wants. And you do kind of respect that. You do sort of see things from the character's perspective. But at the same time, you also know that what this character is doing to Riley is wrong on so many levels. While chasing your dreams and ruthlessly pursuing them is one thing, abandoning your friends, going against your sense of right and wrong, stuff like that, that's all stuff that anxiety ends up having Riley do. And the film does not dance around the fact that there are consequences to that. But at the same time, you also do understand it too. Because, again, this isn't coming from a place of malice or anything. It's not like anxiety is doing this just for shits and giggles. It's doing this because it thinks this is what's best for Riley. It's trying to create this sense that Riley is as good as she thinks she is. And that's actually what the other emotions in this film were doing as well. But at the end of the day, what anxiety is doing is, of course, self-destructive, but also what the other emotions are, Joy and her posse wants, is also self-destructive in a sense. It's just a really interesting look at everything. And damn, it's just so good. It's just so well done. Like, I wish I could go more in detail, but I would be afraid I would spoil everything. Like, the best thing I can tell, if any of this sounds interesting to you guys, is to just go see the movie. In regards to the characters, one thing that I think this film does really well is that it allows the emotions to interact with each other a greater deal. In the first movie, joy and sadness were separated from emotion control for a good chunk of the picture. So they weren't really interacting with disgust, anger, or fear in any capacity. But in this film, they're all working together. And you know what? It was a lot of fun to see them play off of one another. And they also surprisingly developed some pretty complex characters as well, outside of, their given emotions. The character I actually ended up connecting with the most in this movie ended up being Joy, of all people, which is funny for me because I did not like Joy in the first movie. I thought she was kind of a jerk. But this film really looks at her character in an interesting way. There's a point in the movie where the other emotions are fed up with her because they get the sense that she doesn't know what she's doing and even call her delusional. And that's something that Joy actually confirms because she's Joy. She's trying to keep things on track. She's trying to keep everyone happy. She wants everyone to be positive. But she also understands that it's difficult to put a positive spin on everything. And that's also why her interactions with anxiety were so interesting to me, because she just doesn't get it. She understands where anxiety is coming from, but she also doesn't know how to deal with it. Like, after learning that something like sadness has a purpose in one's emotions, she's not so quick to just put anxiety in the corner like she tried to do with sadness in the first movie. So she is trying to understand. She is trying to, figure out a way to resolve things here. But she's also concerned that maybe anxiety is right, and maybe what anxiety is trying to do for Riley really is the best for her. So I guess you could say that Joy is developing some anxiety of her own, but is still trying to face. God, this film is so complex. It's glorious. Man. But yeah, the other characters are great in this too. Anger, grotesque, fear, they're all funny characters. Embarrassment and honoriness were great characters as well. I like how embarrassment is actually the first to really help out the emotions, because, if there's something that's going to embarrass you, it's anxiety, and he does realize that, I think. But another character that really surprised me was orneriness. Like, you see this character and you just think he's going to be, making fun of what, people think millennials are. But he actually proved to be a little more complex too. Like, the level of character writing in this film is just amazing. And it's also supported by some great animation as well. Like, Pixar always does a wonderful job, but one of the problems that Disney has had as of late is that animation is changing big time, and Disney just hasn't kept up. Like, with films like Into the Spider-Verse, Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, and Puss in Boots The Last Wish, their style of animation is just starting to look rudimentary. And one could make that argument that Inside Out is suffering from that as well. But at the same time, the stuff inside Riley is beautifully contrasted with everything on the outside. I think it was actually smart that the entirety of the film actually takes place within a hockey rink, which I don't know if you guys have ever spent time in that kind of setting, but it is a very gritty and grungy environment, and that's juxtaposed by how soft, how bright, how colorful everything is within Riley's mind. So while the film might not be breaking any grounds in animation, it still can lean on how well stylized it is. So it works really well. The voice acting is great. The music is fantastic. It's just a very well put together film. And again, like, none of the stuff that Disney has been having an issue with is here. And it makes me wonder if this will be a game changer for Disney. If this is something that will really break the mold and put them back on the right track. And unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be the case, because I haven't heard a lot of people talking about this movie. Like, even my friends who, loved the original, they didn't talk a great deal about this one. I don't think any of them have had it seen yet. I mean, it's strange. I went to see this movie before any of them did, and that concerns me, because this is the type of film that I don't want to see bomb at the box office. It's bad enough that Furiosa didn't do that well at the box office, and it turns out everything I said in my vlog on its box office performance ended up being wrong, because the film only recently just broke even. And I really hope the same thing doesn't happen to Inside Out, because we're at the end of June, head into July. I went to see this in the theaters, and the theater was honestly kind of empty, which is not a good sign. I know Disney hasn't been on their A game yet, and I know there's plenty of people who aren't even going to give this film a chance just because it's a Disney movie. But I beg you guys, please put all that nonsense aside. Inside Out is a great movie. It deserves your time. It deserves your respect. And I guarantee this one's going to go down in history as a classic. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Inside Out 2, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys go see the movie. And I'll catch you next time.